Go CFB snapback on, check. Got a little black tea on, check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. On today's docket, we're going to get into the news segment. We've seen that the Elite 11 final competition that they have every year, that always have the nation's best quarterback for the upcoming class, they've started to send out invites. So we're going to take a look at some of the players who will be there. We're going to talk some North Carolina football. I feel like Bill Belichick has been in the news a lot, and most of which has nothing to do with football, which is very frustrating for people who love football. So we're going to get into that as well. Also on today's docket, we're going to talk about an NIL salary cap. And I think if we have an NIL salary cap, this is only the Power 4 team based. We will probably have that discussion for Group of 5 at another time. That number will look slightly different. But I think we've kind of came up with something that could help. That could literally help reform from an NIL perspective. We know we still got a myriad of other problems in the sport, but purely from an NIL perspective, this can really help. And also, we're going to do a Colorado Buffalo deep dive. Don't really hear a lot of people talking about them right now, and quite frankly, a lot of people shouldn't be talking about them with the amount of talent and production that they lost from this past season. But I think we're going to learn a lot about Deion Sanders this year, and we're going to learn a lot about this Boulder team as well. Governor of College Football, hashtag go CFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of College Football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's
Two great
CJ
defensive
on
minds.
the
They have to be better on that side of it. It is Tuesday, May 20th. Great day to talk some college football, but I do have to start this episode off with saying happily heavenly birthday to my grandmother, Miss Lee Ferris. She was affectionately known as. I was thinking about her a lot last night. Every time May 20th comes around, and God bless her soul, she's been gone for 25 years now, 24 years now. And it's funny how people who are no longer here, I still think about them quite frankly almost every day as if they're still here. So happily heavenly birthday, grandmother. We surely do miss you. Let's get into the news. So what's some of the latest college football headlines? Y'all know how I like to do. I want to open it up. Maybe you guys haven't seen what's been going on in the college football world, so don't worry. The governor, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to let you know what's going on, what everybody's talking about. And then we'll get into our structured segments. I do appreciate everybody always tuning into the show. Shout out to my boy D Now. He's one of the first people I see that react every time this thing come on. I feel like he beats me online, so shout out to him. Shout out to everybody else that's been watching. Don't think that I haven't noticed the growth, that I haven't noticed that more people are watching. We truly do appreciate that. Shout out to the guy who commented on one of my shorts, one of the shorts that are doing really well right now. We was talking about Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer. I don't know if he was in a message board talking crazy about the governor. I don't know why people would do that. But he apologized, so shout out to him. He apologized, say, oh no, you're well informed, you do your research. I do appreciate it. So shout out to that. I see everything. I promise you guys I see everything. So into the news. UNC football sells out season tickets amid Belichick buzz. We know what Belichick is going to do. We know his pedigree, especially at the NFL level. He's had the ability to win, and he's done it for a very long time. A lot of times we just talk about what he was able to do in New England, and yes, what he's done in New England definitely has him in that GOAT conversation. I know we like to kind of separate the powers of him and Tom Brady, but I think they both need each other. Yes, Tom Brady did win a Super Bowl without Belichick. Of course, he's an elite player, but I think this collegiate game and Bill Belichick's current lifestyle, I think the collegiate game will be really good for him. It'd be plentiful for him. I can't wait to see him at ACC Media Days. Not so much. I think when we get in the auditorium at ACC Media Days, we were going to get that status quo Belichick, the cutoff, sleeve sweater, and he just barely going to be answering questions. I truly believe that's what we'll get. But in the breakout rooms, which are more intimate, you do get an opportunity to talk to the players. It's very lighthearted. I think we'll see more of his, funnier side there. I don't know why we continue to talk about his girlfriend, why we continue to talk about her age. Why is that such a big deal? Why people are calling for his job? Why so many people have issues with it? I don't know. It's kind of crazy in my opinion. But, week 1 versus TCU, that's a measuring stick game for not only the Tar Heels. It'll be a measuring stick game for TCU, the Horned Frogs as well. And kind of see where Sonny Dykes is. Like year 3, what is the TCU faithful? How they feeling about Sonny Dykes? It'll be interesting. What they were able to do in 2022. I'm sorry, he's heading into year 4. So what they were able to do in 2022 is impressive. So it'll be interesting to see. But yes, UNC sold out their season already. I think 20,000 tickets that they sold already, the allotment. So that's amazing. Shout out to them. Shout out to Bill Belichick. 25% increase in ticket prices. That's the Belichick effect. They do that. Hey, we'll be able to, sell these tickets. We'll be able to make the price markable on the price because we know that he's going to sell. And they've also been talking about some book that Belichick reportedly is releasing. I don't know anything about it. I don't know much about it. Apparently he's just, I guess, talking about his time as a coach and all of that. That'd be cool. I'll probably grab it. Not something that's going to be an instant grab, because a lot of the books that I like to read, though I do like sports books, and I've read Warwick Dunn's biography, or the book that he put out. I've read Lawrence Taylor book, which was really interesting. I love the way that they introduced that one. But more of the books that I like to read, as much as I love sports, have nothing to do with sports. Like The Way of the Superior Man by David Dieter. Like, I love that book. That's almost like a Bible for me. So, like I said, it'd be interesting. But shout out to UNC. Shout out to the Belichick effect. In other news, USC Notre Dame rivalry faces uncertain future. We kind of spoke on this yesterday. Didn't really go in deep with it, but the rivalry between USC and Notre Dame is such a rich tradition. It's such a really rich tradition, and I can't wait for it. Side note, y'all know I like to go on my tangent. Side note, I was just thinking, I'm so excited for Media Days, bro. I know I said it earlier, but we will be at Big 12 Media Days, which will be in Frisco, Texas this upcoming year. I think that'll be July 8th and July 9th. And I was looking at ACC Media Days. It'll be at the 23rd. It'll be the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, or the 23rd, 24th, 25th. Don't matter. I'll be there the day before, day after. I will be going live every day, and fingers crossed, I'm hoping that's from Radio Row, because that'd be really nice. But anyway, I'm excited for Media Days. But anyway, USC Notre Dame rivalry faces an uncertain future. I'm hoping that they are able to figure this out. This has been a game that's been going on for a very long time. USC has proposed a 1-year extension following a 2025 game, with no game currently scheduled for 2026. Notre Dame, on the other hand, hope to continue the tradition, but where the state of college football is right now, nothing is certain. I've talked in great detail about how disappointed I am that we won't get a Bedlam game this year. That is so frustrating. And what's sad? And I think as college football fans, we love this sport so much. I was hoping that college football were able to get the ruling pass where you could face another team in an exhibition style game in the spring, because I saw that both schools were kind of proposing, like, hey, we don't have Bedlam anymore during the regular season, maybe we can have it as a spring game. And as crazy as that sound, I think I would have settled for that, but I'm really disappointed not seeing Bedlam. And I hope USC and Notre Dame can figure this thing out, because this has nothing to do with football. A lot of this stuff has nothing to do with football. A lot of people that make these decisions aren't really football people. They don't really care about college football as much as you and I care about college football. But it is what it is. It's semantics. It will always be semantics. It will always be politics. It will always be things that had nothing to do with college football. And that's what we have with the Bedlam game. And hopefully it doesn't end like this with this. Like I said, Notre Dame, USC, rich tradition. ACC distribution, record revenue still trails other conferences. This is going to be a question I think Commissioner Phillips is going to face a lot this year. ACC Media Days is coming up in 2025. The tail end of July 2025 is the pay, as it pertains or in comparison to, and we know that comparison is the killer of all joy, but not for us in the media, because we want to continue to compare and contrast things. It's what we do. It's our job. And compared to what Big 12 schools are getting, SEC and Big 10 are the big dogs, so of course it's not going to be at that level. But, SEC and Big 10, they distributed $52.5 million and $63.5 million per school, respectively. The legal disputes between Clemson and Florida State, I'm glad those are resolved. That was the biggest news coming out of 2024 ACC Media Days. If you weren't there, the biggest news coming out of that was the fact that Jim Phillips went on playing, and we ain't never seen him talk like this. Jim Phillips got a little gangster in him. I promise you he got a little gangster in him, man. He was talking that talk. The Florida State and Clemson said they signed not once but twice. I'm like, talk that talk, Jim Phillips. This is Jim Phillips we want to see. Looking them in their eyes. Man, I'm telling you, man. Jim Phillips, I ain't think he had it in him, but he got a little gangster in him, man. That's what's up. So it was dope to see that. But still, ACC is trailing. And even with the increase, and I think the earliest a lot of these schools who are trying to leave the ACC and try to be bigger fishes in other ponds, like Clemson's and the Florida State. And North Carolina is a key territory, not only because what they do in football, but other sports like basketball, baseball, and stuff like that. And it's a key hold to, like, it's a good area as well. When you think about, a lot of this expansion talks, a lot of this has mostly to do with location, time zones, being able to play in more parts. And North Carolina is key, especially with the way the city of like Charlotte is growing. It's incredible. So ACC, I would still love to see them pay these schools more money. I'm interested to see in 2030, like, I know we're monitoring North Carolina, Clemson, and Florida State. I think the relationship with Clemson and Florida State is much stronger, much better now than it was roughly a year ago. I truly believe the relationships are much better now than they were a year ago. Does that mean they're going to stay past 2030, which is the easiest time to leave? And yes, they have these contracts to 2036. That's still a long time away from now. Many college football seasons away from now, but 2030 is the easiest way to leave. But my original point was, not only am I monitoring those schools, I'm also monitoring the Cows of the world and the Stanfords of the world who, made the decision to join the ACC after they seen the, pretty much Pac-12 was unalive. They're alive now. Shout out to Teresa Gold. She made sure that happened. But I'm sure they're going to monitor that Pac-12 situation and say, wait a minute, it just makes more sense if we went back. And I'm sure the Pac-12 will be happy to have them back. But the earliest that will happen is 5 years from now. So I am monitoring those teams. Colorado embraces new NIL era. I love when I see certain teams doing certain things, like what the Kentucky Athletic Department do with I think it was Championship Blue LLC, seeing that, like Coach Prime, Coach Sanders makes each of his players start their own business and get their own LLC and things like that. I think that is really good to see that we're becoming more business savvy. I have long said, listen, I'm no therapist, even though I do give a lot of people therapy. I'm no therapist by any stretch of the imagination. But I've always said, like, my thoughts on marriage is that it's a business agreement. My thought on sports is a lot of this is big business. A lot of this is TV money. And we've had that discussion before. But I believe if you are business savvy as a program, it will really help if you teach these kids business savviness, because everybody can't go professional in all of these sports. But they can utilize that free education, learn, go to school for free, learn, eat for free, get some money while they're there, but also set themselves up for future money, because future money is more important than, present money in many ways. Especially if you look at our generation and what the retirement age is going to be. We're going to be working until we're 85, and it's okay. Maybe not, but it's going to be okay. Long story short. So they're aligning with a federal sentiment requiring colleges to share sports-generated revenue with athletes. Under the new law signed by Governor Jared Polis, payments can come from ticket sales, merchandise, and broadcast deals. However, individual payment details will remain confidential, raising concerns about transparency. And we're always going to have transparency is like a buzzword in the sport. We don't really get a lot of transparency. We won't get a lot of transparency from NCAA. We won't get a lot of transparency from these television companies or a lot of these deals that are made behind closed doors. It's a buzzword. It is what it is. In other news, the Elite 11 finals rosters have been announced. Something I talked about in the open a little bit. We'll go down the list of the players who've been invited so far. The quarterbacks that have been invited so far. And if you don't know, Elite 11 is a quarterback competition that I think they've done annually for 26 years. I think this might be the 27th edition, and it started in 1999. And its alumni is real rich when you think about it. So, Faison Brandon from Greensboro High School in North Carolina. From Greensboro, North Carolina, goes to Grimsley. I think he's the second-ranked cornerback in the class, and he's committed to Tennessee, so he's got an invite. Dia Bell from American Heritage. He's ranked 13 overall. These are all on 3 industry rankings. He's a third quarterback, and he's committed to Texas. Keyshawn Henderson of Legacy School of Sports and Sciences. That's down in Texas. He's committed to Houston. So shout out to Willie Fritz. Jonas Williams, he's a 4-star quarterback from Lincoln Way East in Illinois, ranked 68th overall, but the number 6 quarterback committed to USC. These are the people who received invites. They're going to continue to send invites, and we'll get more news. I'm just naming everybody who's been invited so far. 4-star quarterback Landon Duckworth, Jackson in Alabama. He's ranked 72 overall, number 7th quarterback, and he's uncommitted. Jake Feedy, and a lot of times if a guy like him can go there and perform, you'll see schools like kind of salivating at the mouth. Be interested to see where he ends up. Jake Feedy from Del Valle in Texas. He's committed to Arizona State. Arizona State just building that quarterback room. Helman Kasaga from Corner Canyon in Utah. I believe Andy was at a Corner Canyon game, and he streamed live, and it did numbers on CFP Nation last year. So shout out to Andy. Shout out to everything he does. He's the 12th ranked quarterback, and he's committed to Texas A&M. Darian Coleman, Jones in Florida. He's ranked number 213th overall, 16th ranked quarterback, committed to Miami. Jet Damalia from Millard South. He's the 354th ranked. These are all on 3 rankings. 22nd quarterback, committed to Iowa State. Briggs Cherry, 3-star quarterback from the Baylor School in Tennessee. He's already committed to Louisville. Got Jeff Brown and them showing that they can do more than just grab players out of the portal. 3-star commit Derek Zammit from DePaul Catholic in New Jersey. 28th ranked quarterback committed to Washington. 3-star Bryson Beaver from Vista Moreta in California. 62nd ranked quarterback committed to Boise State. So those are all of the people who received invites. Many more players will receive invites, but that's just all of the players that we know right now. So we're going to go ahead and head into our next segment. And I feel like we hit the ground running. I gave you guys your news. It's like the layup line. Into the news is the layup line. We're going to really get into it. This governor ruling, I think this is going to be a special one. I like it a lot. So let's get into governor's ruling. NIL salary cap. Should college football utilize an NFL-style NIL salary cap? I believe so, but I think it needs to be done appropriately. I believe in 2022, Ohio State spent reportedly $13 million in NIL. Reportedly. Reportedly last year they spent roughly $20 million. Reportedly, because we don't really know these things, right? You have an idea, but do we truly know? I'm not certain. But for now, we're going to continue to say reportedly. All right. So I was thinking, and I was looking at this, and I was looking at now that we have 105 players, all of which have the ability to be on scholarship. I was thinking around numbers, just based on the reportedly numbers that I got. I think the NFL salary cap is somewhere around $295 million. Of course, this ain't gonna be nowhere near that. But I was thinking $18 million sound like a good round number for the first, NIL structured salary cap. So when you think about that, you think about this is 105 players. In NFL, you carry 46 players plus 6 or 7 practice squad players. I believe that is how it's structured. You're carrying a lot more players in college football. The one thing that I believe is every player should be compensated, whether they're one of the top 11 on offense or defense or special teams, or whether they're down there at the bottom, they're not dressing like Rudy was for most of his collegiate career. They need to be paid, and that base pay for me is $25,000. I think $25,000 is a good number. So if we start to look at this, and yes, most of the top tier quarterbacks are well over in millions. I believe that Arch Manning NIL valuation is somewhere around $6.6 million, which is a lot. I have a much lower number in mind. Just stay with me. Tier 1, quarterback and elite starters. That's wide receiver 1, running back 1, quarterback 1, linebacker 1, and edge. If you think about those 8 players, your top, 8 players or so, and this is at a middle tier school, not big names, but, great fillers on the depth chart. You're looking at somewhere around $150,000 each to about $300,000 each, which makes up 1.2 to 1.5 million. That's your tier 1. Your tier 2 is key rotational players, deep defenders, special team, captains, all of that, 30 players, somewhere around $100,000 each or $75,000 each. Now you're at 2.2 million. And then your tier 3 are developmental players, depth, freshmen, and players that don't need to even dress. You're at about $25,000 each, roughly about 67 players at $1.675 million. This is base salary. This is just base numbers. We're just throwing darts at the board. I need y'all to stay with me. I don't want to lose y'all. Just stay with me. We're throwing dots at the board right now. I think there needs to be performance bonuses as well. If we're going to do this, we need to do it right. There needs to be performance-based incentives like you see in the NFL. Like, we remember when Jadeveon Clowney was with the Ravens, right? And he got that sack. It's like the last game of the season. He did the dance, and we were trying to figure out what the hell is he dancing for. He was getting some money because he reached his incentive, whatever it was. Maybe it's like 8 sacks on the season. He reached it, and that's money. So I think we need to do a performance pool based on just being able to play these players extra money. It's incentive based. That way, I think there's the salary cap, the overall salary cap, the overarching theme and overall goal for the salary cap is just to provide structure, a base structure where all teams have to follow these same metrics. I think in the end, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later, it'll provide more clarity, really, because we're knowing what players are getting paid, like overthecap.com does with the NFL. We know what everybody makes. So it'll provide more clarity, but more importantly, I think it'll provide more parity as well. And I think a lot of the college football season, for a very long time, especially during the BCS era, we knew there was like 4, maybe 5 teams that can legitimately win a national title year in and year out. 14 playoff era, you probably say there's about 6 or 8 teams, maybe 9, legitimately have a shot to win a college football championship or the college football playoff. And you can kind of pinpoint those teams year in and year out. Now I think we're somewhere around like 15 or 16, maybe 17, maybe even 20 teams that have a legitimate shot of winning a college football championship. Like, when you think about how things stack up, or you think about like a Penn State last year, we looked at Penn State as a really good team and a really solid team. But once we saw what side of the bracket they were on, we're like, wait a minute, this team that I wasn't so comfortable with, seeing this side of the bracket, that okay, they play SMU at home. If they win that game, then they play neutral site Boise State. I think they can win those 2 games. Then probably playing the winner of Notre Dame and Georgia. They have the potential on a neutral site to beat both of those games. So you're just looking at it like, yo, Penn State does have a path. So I think when we're looking at it now, stay with me. I know I'm going in tangents. I promise you, stay with me. It's going to make sense in the end. But I think more teams now have a chance to win. So performance bonuses will help with getting these players more money. These incentive-based things. So let's look at some of the offensive bonuses that we can get, right? And these are $25,000 set in stone for hitting each of these stat thresholds. And you can get multiple bonuses, whether it's passing yardage bonuses, whatever the team or the conferences can even set these. You get a performance-based bonus for rush passing yards, passing touchdowns, completion percentage, whatever you like to do. I think it should just be like passing yards and touchdowns. Those should be the bonuses, right? So offensively, running backs, over 1,000 yards, you get a bonus. 25,000 bonus, cha-ching. You get a bonus. 800 plus receiving yards, wide receivers and tight end, you get a bonus. You should get a bonus for that. 25 plus passing touchdowns, a quarterback, you should get a bonus for that. 3,800 plus passing yards, or 4K, whatever you want to make these numbers. These numbers can be moved around. They don't have to stay where I say they need to stay at. You should get a bonus for that. You 100% should get a bonus. We can even create a bonus structure for kickers and punters for them to have an opportunity to, hey, y'all can get this money too while we in college. Everybody eats defensive bonuses. You can look like defensive linemen, like you can say like edge defenders, 9+ sacks. They get a bonus. An interior pass rusher, 4.5, 5 sacks. They should get a bonus. 100 plus tackles for a linebacker. Total tackles, that is. Should get a bonus. 4 interceptions or, 15 pass breakups on the season for a defensive back. They should be able to get bonuses. This is how the NFL does it. These are performance-based incentive bonuses. This is going to make you want to be elite because everybody not going to the NFL. So if we're going to do this NIL thing, we're going to do this name, image, and likeness thing, we need to do it right. It needs to be structured. $18 million should be the hard cap for the first year. Career achievement bonuses. If you amass over, 7,000 yards with a team. Notice I said with a team, not multiple team, with a team. You should get a career bonus. Over 3,000 rushing yards with the same team in your career. You should get a bonus. 2,000 yards or 2,500 yards receiving, you should get a bonus. 250 plus career tackles, singular team, you should get a bonus. 10 career plus interceptions, you should get a bonus. 4-year letterman or team captain status, you should also get a bonus. Every bonus triggers a $25,000 payout. Cha-ching. We also need to have, those are the individual, right? But college football is a team sport. It's 100% a team sport, right? So when we look at this, and we know that it's a team sport, not only should there be individual player incentive bonuses, there should also be a team-based bonus pool, which is somewhere around $6 million, right? You win a conference championship, right, for your conference. That's $1 million total, split between 105 players, not the, these amount of players who dressed or these amount of players who played this season. Give the whole damn team 105 players, break it down, that's $9,523 each. You win your conference championship. Cha-ching. Okay? Make the college football playoff. This is separate. And if you win a championship, you probably going to make the college football playoff. Well, actually, you probably will. And you will. 100%. $2 million total, 105 players, split $19,000. So between winning your conference championship, especially in the G5, because especially in the Power 4, because it's Power 4 only, $19,000 plus $9,000, you're looking at $28,000 for winning. We should be paying these players for winning. The college football playoff committee awards these schools with $20 million for making the playoffs, right? So when I ain't saying give all of the 20 to these players. Yes, give 18 to the schools, but let these players divide $2 million. Please let them divide $2 million. That'd be nice. And that's a nice little pocket. $28,000. These bonuses are equal share for all players on the roster. One team, one payout. So I gave you kind of a base structure of how this thing can work. Now we got to look at, alrighty, what are the elite quarterbacks being played? So we're talking about these big time quarterbacks. We're talking about the Garrett Nussmeyers of the world. We're talking about the Cade Klubniks of the world, the Arch Mannings of the world, the DJ Lagways of the world, the Sam Levitts of the world. In the NFL, an elite franchise level type quarterback makes typically around 15 to 20% of their team's cap. Right? So if you look at that, that's somewhere around $3 million. But if we structure the salary appropriately, we can make because the big reason why Nico Iamaleava left Tennessee was because the money wasn't right, in his opinion. He saw what other people were getting. He was like, why can't I get that? But if we had like a $1.5 million base salary, right, up to like $100,000 in performance bonuses and team bonuses, because we're going to reward loyalty, TDs, yardage, career stats, whatever, up to $47,500 in team success bonuses, 25,000 career milestone bonuses, and $500 to $1 million in loyalty, leadership, and returning for your senior year. I'm going to get into a loyalty bonus too. We're not going to talk about that today, but moving forward later on this week, I believe it's Thursday, we're going to talk about an NIL loyalty bonus, because I think we need to start rewarding these players who are staying at teams. Like somebody like a Dallin Hayden, who rushed for 500 yards 2022, while Mayan Williams and Travion Henderson was injured. Really had a great game against Maryland. Averaged 5 yards a carry, boom. Stays in 2023. Things didn't pan out. He fell further down the depth chart. He ended up going to Colorado. But the fact that he stayed and knew that he might not have an opportunity to get many carries, in which he didn't get a lot of carries in 2023, there should be some type of loyalty bonus for that. And I truly believe that there should be a loyalty bonus for that. 1,000% there should be a loyalty bonus. And we'll talk more about that, and I'll give you the exact figures when we talk about that show. So this mirrors the NFL compensation and gives programs a financial edge to retain star quarterbacks. So not only are we reforming NIL, not only are we coming up with base salary cap, also the general manager position, which I think is the most lucrative position in all of sports, at the collegiate level. Now, some of the stuff that the coaches don't want to deal with, of course, the general managers can help them with, but structuring this salary and maintaining this salary is something that they can help with 100%. And I'm all for that. I'm all for this 100%. I really am. So like I said, coming episode 24, we're going to talk about the loyalty bonus pool. But I want to get into my opinion of why this works. It caps the chaos. Like, you get the Nico situation because Nico's looking at what he's being played, looking at, hey, we know that defense and that run game was a big reason why Tennessee made the college football playoff last year. But he's like, yo, I'm the starting quarterback. I see what these other guys are getting paid, or what allegedly they're getting paid, and yo, I want the same type of money. Like, I've earned it. Like, give me the damn money. Jerry Maguire, show me the money. Like, yes, but there's no more unregulated spending or secret bidding wars. Because what we saw at Tennessee this offseason was, I think, a lot worse than people thought of it. I know the fans down in Knoxville was like, hey, great job, Josh Heupel. He's not going to run our team. He's not going to run our program. And yes, a lot of that is true. Great job, Josh Heupel. But what happened after that, the messiness that happened after that, is we seeing, Josh Hoover from TCU being messed with. He ain't in the portal. Avery Johnson, Kansas State quarterback, being messed with. He ain't in the portal. This is tampering. This is 100% tampering. This rewards performance. Stats, wins, drive, valued. This awards performance. And even if, like I said, you the 22nd guy, 25th guy, 105th guy, you getting paid. Your team make the college football playoff, cha-ching, you get paid. Like, we even seen it, especially back in the day, like the incentives for like the NBA All-Star game or Pro Bowl game, and the winning team gets X amount of dollars, and you'll see game. It don't really like that in the NBA anymore. All these players are paid ridiculous amounts. Back in the day, when Jordan and them was playing, you see, man, they really wanted to win. They had joke around the first two and a half, 3 quarters. Them last quarter and a half or last 2 quarters was crazy because they wanted that money. Let's reward loyalty. Let's reward winning. We need an NIL cap. We really do. We really do. And if we really want to look at this, you eliminate so many problems by doing this. So it creates parity. I said this earlier. It creates clarity with having a structured cap. It creates parity with having a structured cap. And we will see more teams like really step it up. Now, that's going to always be those universities who really don't want to spend money. They'd rather build through high school. Well, hell, those high school players cost as well. So it'll be cool. So we got the general managers now. It's time to get them roles. $18 million cap. Quarterback upwards to $3.6 million a year. That's about 15 to 20% of the total cap. And then plus all of these incentives, these players can really get paid, and they might want to stay with your program because they have that ability to get paid. No more backroom chaos. No more Wild Wild West. At least on the NIL side. We still are having on the portal side a lot of Wild Wild West. But it will kind of help with the Wild Wild West of the portal because we're going to reward loyalty. And loyalty is important in college football. But Archman and Doing, I said it yesterday, that's the path less chosen. It really is, because a lot of people aren't comfortable with waiting. They just aren't. They've been a guy their whole life. They're uncomfortable with waiting. So seeing people stay at programs, believe in programs, when there's possibly more money elsewhere, that needs to be rewarded. So before we get into our next segment, thank you for listening to this. I know I was kind of all over the place with it, but I thought it was important for me to explain myself in a way that makes sense to everybody. So we're going, before we get into this last segment, the Around the Nation, we're going to do this Colorado Buffaloes deep dive. We're going to really look at their team, see how it's structured, look at the construction of the roster, and kind of see where they're at. We're going to take an ad break. Shout out to our sponsors, BetUS. You can they will match 125% of your first deposit using that code CFBNation. We're going to go to this ad break. We'll be right back. Look at you out here using all these other sports books, and you ain't even using the best one. BetUS. Get 125% match bonus when you use the promo code CFBNation. Yeah, you heard me correctly. 125% match bonus on your first deposit using that code CFBNation. We know that college football is in the offseason. Even though we don't celebrate that, CFBNation, we do college football 24/7. But there are plenty of things for you guys to bet on.
Who will have the most wins? OKC Thunder or Cleveland Cavaliers? Can Luka and LeBron make it all mesh to make it to the play-in tournament? Maybe you're a college basketball guy ready to risk it all for Florida to make it to the big dance.
Basketball isn't for you? Maybe you're a football guy. Well, BetUS got you covered with this year's UEFA Championship. Can Liverpool or Barcelona win it all? Will Erling Haaland or Harry Kane lead their teams to victory?
May is going to get popping when the Kentucky Derby hits town. BetUS has you covered in that way too, with all major horse racing events. Point is, type in that promo code CFBNation and go get that money.
Shout out to our sponsors, BetUS. Like I said, you get that 125% match bonus on your first deposit. Make sure you all check them out. Also, I want to tease our overreaction show tonight. It's going to be a fun episode over at the CFB Nation as I try to move this camera around. It's going to be really fun. We're going to talk about our top 10 quarterbacks, top 5 running backs, and then top 8 wide receiver duos. And we're also going to talk about this thing that D Now sent us. And it's about this AI-generated, like, relegated college football system that I kind of want to do in college football 25 and or 26 to kind of see how it works with the relegation. But it's going to be really cool. So make sure you guys tune into that. That is 8:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over at CFB Nation. So make sure you guys ready for that. I know that the gang is ready to talk about that. So let's get into Colorado, kind of see where they're at this week around the nation. Like I said, we normally talk about coaches or, top 10 coaches under 40, or we talk about a myriad of schools. This week, I kind of want to change up the pace. I want to kind of talk about some teams that intrigue me. We talked about Texas yesterday, and today we're talking about Colorado. And I want to call this Colorado football life after Shedeur. I think the season is going to be really difficult for Colorado. And I don't mean difficult in the aspect or in the sense of like, oh wow, they're going to struggle this season. I don't mean that at all. They got some really good people and that coaching staff, like the Warren Sapps, like the Marshall Falks, like the Coach Primes, of course. But I think for Deion Sanders, like, to think that he's coached his kid, since his kid was playing Pee Wee, man, and just went up with him as he went through the ranks, I think it's going to be weird for him. Deion is a, family man. And of course, you got FaceTime, stuff like that. But if their son's in different cities and stuff like that, not having them around them, you could just tell when this kid, like, even when Shiloh be mocking him or doing the must be the money dance, like, you could tell the type of joy that it brung Prime. Even when Shiloh was getting on him. So it brought him a lot of joy. So it'll just be an interesting season for Colorado. Colorado football is I'm telling you, it's going to be very intriguing. The 2024 season for the Colorado Buffaloes gave the fans a bolt of hope. This had been their most successful season on the gridiron, like one of their most successful ones in the last 25 years. And I know we looked at, what Coach Prime did in year one. It was a struggle, or that, like Shedeur was only 13-12 as a starter. I don't think many people realize, and I think that's just kind of where the casual mind is. I don't think many people realize, how much work that they done. This team was abysmal a few seasons ago. They were really bad. But, but Colorado, fun fact, has only won more than 9+ games twice in the last 25 years, which were 10 in 2016 and 10 in 2001. They haven't done a lot of winning. They really haven't. So we kind of, underestimate and underwhelmed what Coach Prime has been able to do there, and that's okay. I get it. A lot of people don't like him. I get it. I understand that. But, facts are facts. He's made a difference there. A lot of people are talking about Colorado. Their sales went through the roof, and we saw it in 2023 at their spring game, which it was packed out. But if you went to the 2022 season and some of those later regular season games, they weren't packed out. I tell you that 100%. So let's give them more credit. Now, I know 13-12, they're just getting started, but give them more credit than what we've been giving them. But I think Deion has his team headed in the right direction, but many of us wonder, what would life be like for the Buffaloes after Shedeur? I think this is interesting. 2024, Buffaloes went 7-2 in Big 12 play, and were averaging just shy of 33 points per game, which was 31st in the nation, an improvement versus prior year. They allowed 23 points a game, which was 42 in the nation. And compared to their 2023 season, that was a huge improvement because they were allowing 35 points per game in 2023. So to go from 35 to 23 is a huge jump. You're talking about 124th in the nation versus, 42nd in the nation. That's a huge improvement. That means on both sides of the ball, both offensively and defensively, this team is headed in the right direction. I think that's important to know. Shedeur Sanders threw for 4,134 yards last year, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, all-time leader in completion percentage. I think he completed 74% of his pass. I don't think people understand how astronomical that number is. Did take a lot of sacks. There were a lot of times he held on to the ball too much. We agree with that. I think Colorado fans would be the first to tell you, there were sometimes you need to get rid of the goddamn ball, and he didn't. But he's a playmaker, and he's always looking to make plays. Travis Hunter had 1,258 yards receiving on 96 receptions and 15 touchdowns. Also had 11 pass breakups defensively and 4 interceptions on the season, resulting in Hunter taking home the Heisman and being selected second in the 2025 NFL draft by the Jacksonville Jaguars. 4 Buffaloes from the 2024 team were drafted, including Travis Hunter, who I mentioned earlier, Shedeur Sanders, Jimmy Horn Jr., who looked really good in Carolina rookie camp. LaJohntay Wester was also drafted. And that was the most since 2017 for the Buffaloes. Like 3 of their wide receivers were drafted, which is incredible. I know I like the advanced metrics. Colorado has an SP Plus ranking of 48, which is about middle of the road. Not too shabby, not great, not too shabby. And in the country, and then that percentage is 50%. Abysmal, but this is truly a way that Coach Prime has built his teams. He's built his teams primarily through the portal. We remember how many the mass exodus in 2023, how many people hit the portal after they kind of saw what Coach Prime was doing. But a decent, recruiting class nationally ranking 37th. Now let's look at the construction of the roster this year. Julian Lewis, I thought that was a great pickup. And I think he'll be the guy 2026 onward. And now we're talking about the quarterback room. But right now, the guy at the helm is Kaidon Salter. I think Kaidon Salter proved it not only in the spring game, but he also proved it in what he was able to do in the practices for at least with what I was hearing, 100%. So the good thing and the good news is, because I'm a credential, member of the media and I'm a seasoned credential holder. I wish I could hold my Liberty credential up now, the season one I had last year. So I've seen a lot of Kaidon Salter. I've seen him in Conference USA, championship in 2023. I went to a lot of their games last season. And what he was able to do in 2023 was electrifying, man. He threw for 3,000 yards, 32 touchdown passes, 6 interceptions, completing 60% of his passes, while also rushing for another 1,000 yards. And another, I think it was 12 TDs on the ground. That is 44 total touchdowns on the season. And after the 2023 season, there was speculation on whether Kaidon Salter would hit the portal or not. We were getting like crystal ball reads that he might go to Auburn. Auburn wasn't, Hugh Freeze and company weren't super sold on Peyton Thorne, but I remember Hugh Freeze said, I can't see me spending another $1 million in a portal to get a quarterback. So ultimately, Kaidon Salter returned to Lynchburg, but things weren't the same this year. And it's not like there were a lot of changes. Jamie Chadwell was still a coach. I thought after the 2024 season, Jamie Chadwell wouldn't be coaching at the G5 ranks, but Liberty underperformed that much this season. And when you're at these games, I said it before, I said it again, I'll say it again, there's just things that you will see watching this game from the field that during TV breaks with, you're looking at ads and stuff like that. We are watching body languages. We're watching, I will see them go like TV timeout, and most of the players on the TV timeout, they go to the sideline, quarterback talks to the coach a lot of time. Kaidon Salter just seemed disinterested, like, I didn't want to come back here. I thought I had more pull, because I think he initially committed to Tennessee before he went to, Liberty. But I think he thought he'll have more pull in the portal and have more action in the portal. But I think the schools that he deemed fits, and he did have some pull, but I think the schools that he deemed as good fits for himself just weren't pulling. And like I said, this past season wasn't a good year for Liberty. And yes, they only lost a few games, but it just wasn't a good year by their standards. Now, you guys have heard me say on this show, I believe that Liberty will be the G5 representative in the college football playoff this season. Easiest schedule in the country. 136 easiest schedule. They got Missouri State and Delaware. The Blue Hens added to their conference this season. I'm telling you, Liberty's going to win a lot of ball games. They do have a semi-difficult non-con schedule, but the rest of their season, Jamie Chadwell will be a Power 5 coach, Power 4 coach after this season. I guarantee that. Somebody's going to hire him. I guarantee it. But back to Colorado. So 2024 season for Kaidon Salter, his completion percentage slipped. He only threw, less than half of the touchdowns, same amount of interceptions. He don't really turn the ball over. But just a bad season. The body language was bad. He seemed frustrated with the system. Seemed, frustrated with, of course, he had Quentin Cooley at running back behind him, but just frustrated with the playmakers on the outside. Felt like at times he was running for his life. He just wasn't happy. But I truly do. And he underperformed. Every statistical category for Kaidon Salter went down this past season. But I truly do like this fit at Colorado. His dual threat ability will keep Colorado in a lot of games and improve their run game. He's a dynamic runner. This is something that they didn't have in Shedeur. I'm not saying Shedeur has the ability to be mobile here and there, but he ain't Kaidon Salter. Kaidon Salter can take that thing 60 yards. I'm telling you, I watched this kid a lot over the last 2 years. He can take that thing 60 yards. And you be like, what the hell just happened? Kaidon Salter happened. That's 100%. You'll say that. So I believe he can add to this run game. I think he'll be dynamic. I think trench play is going to matter a lot for Colorado this season, but he will turn heads in Boulder. I guarantee you. If you haven't seen a lot of Caden Salter, I promise you, this kid is must-see TV. Yes, 2024 was down, but with some of the weapons that he have in Colorado, with the team that they're building, just think about, like, they got Marshall Faulk as their running back coach, bro. Warren Sapp is their defensive line coach, and they have this access to rappers and, former football players who believe in prime and want to see this team win. So, when you're having a rough day or a day like mentally you're not there, you can go talk to a Warren Sapp. You can go talk to a Marshall Faulk. You can go talk to a Coach Prime, and they're going to build that mental. Football is very mental. I know a lot of times people like to say, yes, it's a physical sport. It's a sport that injury happens 100% of the time. But the mental aspect of this thing, I think Caden Salter mentally I don't think he wanted to be in Lynchburg. I think he wanted to be elsewhere because he knew that what he did in 2023 warranted for him to go play at a Power 4 school. It just wasn't in the cards. It's in the cards this year. I had no doubt in my mind that he would win this quarterback competition. And that's not a shot at Julian Lewis at all. That's just what I've been able to see with my own two eyes from field level. That's just what I've been able to see. But I like this fit. Dallin Hayden is a guy. I've been a huge fan of Dallin Hayden for a very long time. 2022, I talked about Dallin Hayden earlier. After, injuries in Columbus with Mayan Williams and Travion Henderson, I seen that game against Maryland, a game that Ohio State could have lost. Dallin Hayden took over. I'm like, this kid is nice, and he was a true freshman at the time. I'm like, yo, their running back room is crazy. And then I think they got Chip training them, or however you say his name, and I think Dallin Hayden went to like 4th on the depth chart. That's behind Chip. That was behind Mayan Williams. That was behind Travion Henderson, and he just didn't get the shares that he needed in 2023, which resulted to him transferring in 2024. When he entered the portal, I wasn't surprised that he entered the portal. I figured he was going to enter the portal. It just made a lot of sense when you looked at what Ohio State was doing. And hell, Kenshawn Judkins and Travion Henderson. Yes, I believe in Dallin Hayden talents. I believe he's a really good running back. But damn, those two are before me, bro. You ain't seeing the field, cuz. You are not seeing the field. That's guaranteed. But it's okay. So, last year, in these last 2 seasons, we've seen Colorado's offensive line hasn't been very good. I believe that a lot of times they became pass oriented. You're trying to win a guy a Heisman at wide receiver, trying to, also win a guy, kind of a Heisman at quarterback as well. He just didn't get touches, bro. I think he had 64 carries at Colorado, averaged like 3-point-something yards a carry. Enter Marshall Faulk. That's who'll be in. Right now, I think Dallin Hayden is technically second on the depth chart, but I think he'll earn his carries this year. Marshall Faulk, the running back coach, that's somebody you could just talk to, but like, well, how should I attack this? How should I attack that? Like, what did I miss when I ran this? Yeah, I got 6 yards out of it, but like, how you think I could have got picked up a first down and got 2 or 3 extra yards? This is the type of things you get when you have these guys who's done it at elite level. It's different from me sitting here talking to you about college football, right? And granted, I know college football. I talk college football. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of documents. I do most of the documents for CFB Nation for all of the shows that I'm on. I do a lot of research. But it'll be different if somebody who would play the sport at a very high level will be talking to you. Then it's that instant, well, they played it at a high level, so I'm going to listen to them talk because they played to it at a high level. And I kind of wanted to make that parallel because Marshall Faulk been there, done that. So college, he was a beast at San Diego State. We saw what he did with the Rams and the Colts and the NFL. So when you had somebody in Dallin Hayden, if he's, I don't know him personally, but if he's the type of guy that I think he is, he's going to pick their brains and find out so much information about this team. I really do believe that. So limited action 2023, 2024, I think he'll get more carries. I truly do. And right now, in the number 1 spot on the depth chart per hour, lads, is Michael Welch. It'll be interesting to see if Hayden can give us those 2022 vibes. If so, I'm going with him the number 1 back. And I think with enough carries, I think he can clips 1,000 yards. And I think we'll see this team run a lot more this year too. Colorado lost a myriad of talent in the wide receiver room. 3 wide receivers taken in the NFL draft 2025, as I just said. But they still have some return in production. I think a lot of people forgot about Omarion Miller. Remember in 2023 when he burst onto the scene when Colorado was down? It was a debacle. They were getting killed by USC and the Colorado started coming back. Omarion Miller, out of nowhere, after a bunch of injuries, and Deion was just begging for somebody to go out there and make plays. And Omarion Miller was that guy. He had like a 65-yard touchdown reception. He had 7 catches, 165 yards. And last season, I don't want to say he was buried on the depth chart, but he had a serious ankle injury last year. He's back. He should be their number one wide receiver, and I'm hoping that him and Kaden Salter can build that rapport because he's elite. Like, I saw what he was able to do against USC, and granted, USC was terrible defensively that year. But nonetheless, he did it, and that was as a true freshman. I wanted to see more of a Marion Miller last year, but the ankle injury, and it was just a crowded wide receiver room. The wide receiver room ain't crowded. I expect a Marion Miller, and reports are that he's extremely healthy. I expect him to be the guy this upcoming season. I truly do. I truly do believe that. Drelon Miller had 32 receptions last season for the Buffaloes. So you are getting return production. I know they lost a lot. You are getting return production. And Tulsa transfer wide receiver Joseph Williams looks to make this a formidable wide receiver room. I know we look at it and say, it ain't what it was last year. Travis Hunter ain't walking through the locker room or through the tunnel. We know that. We're not stupid, but there is some talent here. Like I said, when I do these team breakdowns, 2 team previews, I will be critical. Anybody who's been watching this show for a while know I'm highly critical of a lot of stuff. But when I'm doing these team previews and outlook, I'm looking at it from a sphere of the glass being half full versus half empty. Now, if it's empty, there's some teams I'm not high on this year. Y'all already know. But I'm looking at this thing as half full, and what can we get? This is if we get the most out of our players. We put the work in doing circuit training. We put the work in doing spring camp prep. We put the work in during spring camp. We put the work in during fall camp, and now we're ready for the regular season. It's going to be interesting. So let's talk about the offensive line play. It's been terrible. It's been abysmal at Colorado. Yes, a lot of this we can't blame on Shedeur just because he held on to the ball a lot. But he don't make some of them plays that he made without holding on to the ball. One of the plays I think about is the Hail Mary against Baylor last year, which won them the game. Being able to scramble to his left and just make a throw and pray to the gods, Hail Mary, and he was able to make a play. But offensive line play has been terrible. It really has. It hasn't been great for the past few seasons. Coach Prime did get active in the portal, got a retool group, and hopefully they're ready. The entire offensive line are all either senior transfers or graduate transfers. So hopefully, and these in that big program, some of these guys are. So hopefully that experience will bode well. I'm just hoping that it bodes well. Things work out. Kaden Salter will give them a dynamic and an ability that they have not had before. So the design quarterback runs or, spreading the defense out and then, calling the pirate or quarterback draw is what we call a pirate in the air raid. They have that ability now. So you can be more creative offensively, find ways to get down and hitting the ball, find ways to let Kaden Salter loose. The offensive line play is going to be pivotal. It's going to 100% be pivotal. Seriously will. So let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. Robert Livingston truly improved his defense last year. Great hire by Coach Prime. Like I said, they allowed 12 less points per game last season, so they're trending in the right direction. College football is all about trending in the right direction. I promise you it is. But there were games last season. BYU was one of them. But the other one was that Kansas game. And I remember watching that game and how frustrated I was watching that game because Devin Neal looked like the best back in the country in that game. They could not stop them at all. It was a physical beatdown. I promise you it was. But even with that, Coach Livingston has made some substantial gains defensively, and you got to take the good with the bad. So the biggest question heading to the season for Colorado, and I know we titled this Life After Shedeur, but both offensively and defensively, is can this team win the war of attrition on the line of scrimmage? This is the number one overall thing, the arching thing. It is 100%. And recently promoted offensive line coach Gunnar White will say they can. Defensive line coach Warren Sapp will say they can, but will they? That's a question. We can say they can. It's easy to say that in May. Easy to say that in March or April when we're in camp. We'll also be saying that during summer camp in August. But when the season gets here and week 1 you got Georgia Tech with a physical team and a coach in Brent Key whose mantra is run the ball. Yeah. Can you guys be physical? Can you guys win the war of attrition on the line of scrimmage? That's the question I'm asking Colorado and Colorado fans. Can you guys be physical on that defensive line? Can you guys be physical on that offensive line? Can you create space for Kaden Salter? Can you give Kaden Salter time to throw the ball? Can you create space for Dallin Hayden? These are all of the questions that I ask. It really is. But experience should pay well. And it's kind of always been Coach Prime's approach, at least in this, few shortened seasons at Colorado, is to get experience. So hopefully that bodes well on both sides of the ball. On the edge for Colorado are Arden Walker, who had 4.5 sacks last season, with 6.5 tackles for loss. And on the other side of Samuel Okunlola, who had 2.5 sacks last season. Colorado has amazing depth at the defensive tackle position. And what we've seen in football, especially defensively and with the sub packages in the defensive line, probably for the better part of 12 years, but more specifically the last 6 years, we've seen that guys are able to play depth. Especially at the NFL level, we see the Philadelphia Eagles are really good with it. The Buffalo Bills are good with it. AJ Epinesa doesn't even start and had, 9 sacks last year? 7.5 or 8 sacks? It was something like that last season. So you have to have depth. And I love the depth that they have at the defensive tackle spot. 2 transfers, and Tavion Coleman and Jehiem Oatis. Big guys that can play in this 4-2-5/4-3 defense. And you add Amari McNeil, he's their 3 technique, and he was able to get a lot of pressure, interior pressure, and you need interior pressure to really push, the quarterback one way or another, so your edge defenders or your blitzing defenders can make plays. It's extremely important. So a lot of pressure. I really like Amari McNeil. He's a guy to watch. He got a lot of pressure from that 3 technique last season. So the front 4 for Colorado was no slouch. So we're going to take a look at their schedule. I want you guys, while we're going down this with me, whether you're in the comment section, whether you're watching us on CFP Nation or watching this on Governor of College Football, let's go down game by game. Just let me know if you guys think this is a win or you guys think this is a loss. Like I said, we're going to look at this as a glass half full as much as we possibly can. Now, I have said this. I've been really consistent with this. And don't get upset with me because I say this all the time. The Big 12, you always get a couple teams you don't know what there's going to be. You just don't. Who knew that coming into the season last year with all of the return in production that Oklahoma State had last year, we didn't know what was going to happen at media days with Coach Gundy. But that's another story. Who knew that they were going to have the slide that they had? Who knew that Arizona State was going to have the ascension that they did? And if you said you did, you're a liar, bro. And I will sit here, look you in your face right now, and I'll call you a liar because you're a liar. I will be a liar because when I did my media packet for the Big 12 and I had to rank these teams 1 through 14 or 1 through however many teams, I think it's 1 through 16 maybe. The team I had dead last was Arizona State. Even though I'm a fan of Kenny Dillingham, I just didn't see it. So, yeah, I was one of those goofies. So, we're going to look at the schedule. We're going to try to, see what this looks like. So August 29th is a neutral site game in Atlanta, Georgia. Georgia Tech is in Atlanta. But it's the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic. This game's going to tell me all I need to know about Colorado and if I'm going to be watching them a lot this upcoming season. It's going to tell me everything that I need to know because they playing Brent Key and his mantra is what? Say it in the chat. I know y'all want to say it. Say it in the chat. Run the ball. We seen them take Georgia to how many overtimes was it? Georgia, yeah, the team that won the SEC championship last year. Take them to what, 5 or 6, 7 overtimes, was it? With physicality, a game that they 100% should have won. Yo, and I'm telling you, Brent Key is one of them coaches. Hey, they can't stop that. Brent Key, one of my favorite people to talk to at ACC. Him and Brent Pry are my favorite people to talk to at ACC Media Days. But, bruh, he gonna look at them and he gonna say, oh, they looking kind of light up front, even though they did gain some weight via the portal and then defensive tackles. He like, they looking light up front. We running the ball left, right, middle. We're going to run it with our quarterback, too. They going to run the ball. They going to test, man, they going to test y'all chin, bro. I'm telling you, somebody, like, if you passing the ball, that's one thing. You scheming up, like Lincoln Riley with one of these quarterbacks and slicing and dicing. I can live with that. I'm like, man, our corners suck. It's like being a Buffalo Bills fan and watching what the Chiefs was able to do against us in the playoffs. It's all good. I ain't over it, but I'm going to say I'm over it. It is what it is. But a team that can punch you in your mouth and run the ball like Kansas State was able to do, not Kansas State, like Kansas was able to do last year with Devin Neal, man, you playing a coach like Brent Key, who don't care if you soft, he gonna run the ball just like he did with Florida State. Remember that game against Florida State? Now a lot of people was giving Georgia Tech a chance. I know my boy Moon was, but I thought he was smoking that good. Cause I ain't think no way in the world Georgia Tech would beat Florida State. Not the way Florida State looked the year before, even with DJU at quarterback. My only concern was Alec Atkins not being there because he was on suspension. But bruh, I didn't expect that. It was a physical beatdown. So you're playing a physical team. So if y'all want to know what Colorado gonna be at this year, this is gonna be a game to watch. Cause I'm telling you, it's gonna be one of those really great games of week 1. Can they win the war of attrition on the line of scrimmage? That's how I opened this segment, and I'm gonna continue to ask this question throughout this entire segment. Can they win the war of attrition on the line of scrimmage, both offensively and defensively? Georgia Tech's a really good team. Brent Key's going to run the ball. This will be that game. I'm leaning towards Georgia Tech because of what I've seen in previous years from this team. They soft. Morris Sapp ain't soft, but I'm just saying they been soft, bro. It is what it is. The Kansas game, it's soft. They soft. BYU physically punched you in your mouth. They took your lunch money. You ain't do nothing about it. Like, that's how I feel when I watched Colorado a lot last year. I was frustrated. I'm like, y'all saw, bro. They taking y'all lunch money. Y'all ain't doing nothing about it. That'll be a loss in my book. Not because I don't think Colorado's going to be a good team. I think they'll have the ability to, but if you telling me Georgia Tech owns the time of possession, they're running the ball, they take a time off the clock, a Brent Key type of game, and they win the possession, I say, not even say 2-1, but I just say they possess the ball 12 or 13 more minutes than Colorado does. I'm giving them the edge. I'm really giving, and that can change by fall camp, but I'm giving them the edge. So they start off the season 0-1 for me. Delaware, that'll be a tune-up game. Really good tune-up game against a team who just entered the FBS ranks. Shout out to Conference USA. Added 2 teams this year. They added a few teams a season ago as well, a couple seasons ago as well. This will be one of those games where I think we're going to see Colorado clicking on all cylinders. That's both offensively, defensively. Caden Salter going to have a game, put the nation on notice. And I'm going to tell you what about that August 29th game in Hotlanta at the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic. I don't believe that's on the tour. It might be. Moon, if you're watching, let me know if it's on the tour or not. I don't know. But anyway, it's neither here nor there for right now. But it's going to be a game that I definitely, going to want to see. It's going to be a really good game. But when I think about this August 29th game, Colorado has a chance. They're clicking on all cylinders, and they're forcing Georgia Tech to 3 and outs. And then the time of possession, I'm not saying Colorado got to win the time of possession. I'm just saying that the time of possession can't be like a 12 or 13 minute plus in Georgia Tech's favor. That means Georgia Tech won a game for me. But Colorado can't win that game. I just wanted to go back and say that. So they're 1-1 after the Delaware game at Houston. Another really good measuring stick game. It's a Big 12 game. I believe that Willie Fritz got something cooking. Connor Wegman got a chip on his shoulder. Size of Texas. He's ready to light it up. Because I think a lot of people forgot about Dre. Or like Roy Jones always say, y'all must have forgot. I think Connor Wegman going to have one of those type seasons. Give me Colorado in this one. I say that Connor Wegman will put on his dual threat ability. I say Caden Salter will put on his dual threat ability and could end up being in a high score affair. Give me Colorado in this one. Colorado's 2-1. Versus Wyoming. This is a tricky game. I don't know if we'll get 2023 Colorado or 2024. I'm sorry, 2023 Wyoming or 2024 Wyoming. But Colorado after the first quarter, 3-1. I'm kind of confident in that. I'm iffy on the Houston game. I'm still iffy with a Georgia Tech game, but I know that Georgia Tech is physical and Colorado struggles with physical teams. September 27th versus BYU is a loss for Colorado until they can show me otherwise. Now, if they mess around and win the Georgia Tech game, I say, well, they do have the ability to be physical. But BYU is physical. Very similar to Georgia Tech. They're going to punch you in the mouth. Kind of built like an SEC team with BYU. So right now through the season, they are 3-2. TCU. I'm looking forward to seeing what TCU offers for the Big 12 this season. I really do. I think this game is a 50-50 game. Sitting Boulder, I think I'll be more comfortable with saying that, hey, Colorado will win this game. Colorado definitely does have an opportunity to win this game. 50-50, I'll lead with Colorado, and we'll say Colorado at this point in the season is 4-2 with wins against Delaware, Houston, Wyoming, and TCU. 2 losses versus BYU and Georgia Tech. Next week, October 11th versus Iowa State. Iowa State, my pick to win the Big 12. Y'all know how I feel about that one. Colorado's 4-3. At Utah, that'd be a tough game. It's tough to go in Utah and get a victory. It really is. So right now, October 25th, at Utah. Utah has lost some production. Colorado can definitely win this game. It's Colorado 4-4, 5-3 after this game. Colorado gets the upset October 25th. Colorado is 5-3. Arizona is a team. I know they didn't do well last year. They just didn't. But they dealt with a lot last year. They changed conferences. They changed head coaches. But I think Arizona will be much improved this year. I think they'll be much improved. I really do. So I think they were what? 0-1, 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 4-2, 4-3, 5-3. I think they lose the Arizona game. They'll split the Utah and Arizona. It can go either way. So right now they're 5-4. Now they got at West Virginia. What do we expect out of Morgantown this year? What do we expect out of Rich Rod this year? We seen the success that Rich Rod had at Jackson State last year. And I believe, did Rich Rod face Caden Salter last year during Jackson State's run to win the Conference USA last year? That's a great question. I got to go back and look at that. So, if they are 5-4 heading into this game, I would deem that game in Morgantown a must win. But they're 5-5. Yeah, I think they're 5-5 at this point. I don't think Arizona State will be the team that we think they are from last season. I did rank them pretty high this season, but I don't think they'll have that same type of success. Not saying that they can't do it again. I just don't think they'll have that same type of success. I think Texas Tech is better. I think Iowa State is better. There's just teams I like more than Arizona State. But, Kenny Dillingham is there, full of energy. At this point, I think Colorado is 5-6 after this game at Kansas State. This Kansas State game in Manhattan, Kansas will decide Colorado's fate on whether they make a bowl game appearance or not. At this point, I got them 5-6. Not too shabby. There's some games that we can argue either way, but I got them 5-6 at Kansas State. They can go to the Little Apple and get a win. Hey, maybe they can be 500 and then go to a bowl appearance. But in you guys' estimation, what will be a 6-6 season? Is it a retooling year? Are the fans in Boulder okay with this? Are the players okay with this? Of course not. Is Prime okay with this? Of course not. Will he start looking for other opportunities? Now, the team ain't gonna fire him because he just generates so much money. But it's just one of those things that you really got to look at and think about. I think 6-6 for me would be where, okay, I can see them going 6-6. I can also see them going 5-7. I can also see them going 7-5, depending on how games go. It's just the way the Big 12 is. Could they be the surprise team in the Big 12? It'd be 8-4. 8-4 would definitely be through the ceiling for me. I think 7-5 is the ceiling. I have them going 5-7 or 6-6. It just depends where I'm at with this Kansas State game. Right now, I say they'll be 5. They'll make a bowl at 6-6, but 7-5 being, I think, the ceiling for this Colorado team. I like a lot of the pieces. Retool group, they just lost a lot of production. So for me, I think it'll be a little bit difficult to say, hey, this team is ready. This team is going to take the Big 12 by storm, and they can because we get a surprise team every year. But I'm comfortable with my 6-6 with Colorado this season. It's been a fun episode, man. We definitely did some numbers as far as people watching. I do appreciate that. It definitely doesn't go unnoticed. If you've never seen this show before, I am Lever KT, self-proclaimed the governor of college football, and we go live every day, well, Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. during the season. May add an extra day, maybe like a Sunday day or whatever. So we may go live 5 times a week. What I got coming up tomorrow, I think that'll be a fun episode for you guys. We're going to talk about an NIL loyalty bonus. We kind of talked about it a little bit today, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. I forgot the team breakdown we're doing tomorrow. So, you make sure you guys stay tuned. Go subscribe to the Governor of College Football. It's just on YouTube, if you at Governor of College Football, spelled like how I spell it, you'll find me on there. We talk college football over here. We're also live tonight on the CFB Nation. That's at the CFB Nation if you search that on YouTube, or you can watch it on Twitter because I am live on CFB Nation's Twitter, my own Twitter, and Governor of College Football. So we making a lot of noise, man. If this is your first time seeing the show, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you can see that we well informed, and I'll see you tonight. If you guys aren't there tonight for our Overreaction Monday on the Tuesday stream, well, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 4 p.m. As I always like to say, there are no more victories in the sport that survive in advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. And until next time, it's been our most successful episode by far. You all take care. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ on
Defensive
the
minds.
track.
They have to be better on that side of the ball.